Sis, if you're sitting in another pointless corporate meeting right now, wondering, is God trying to tell me something? Then, sis, this video or podcast, if you're only listening, is your answer. I'm about to show you the 5 clear signs that what you're feeling isn't just burnout or a bad quarter. It's God calling you out of corporate and into something bigger. Hey, beautiful. Welcome to the Launch Your Coaching Ministry podcast. I am Monique Addison-Stinson. And listen, here's the truth. Corporate may have given you a title, but God gave you a calling. If you're a Christian woman over 40 who's ready to stop tying your worth to your job and step into your God-given ministry, then this is your space. I show you how to package your corporate skills into kingdom work and get paid for it. Listen, my mom taught me something very powerful. If I don't bet on myself, who will? Now I help women just like you stop making excuses and start making moves, turning your experience into the coaching ministry God's been preparing you for this whole time. So, are you ready to launch? Let's go, sis. If you clicked on this video or this podcast, I am betting that you've been feeling restless, maybe even guilty about wanting more than what your corporate job offers. And let me guess, you've been telling yourself, I should be grateful for this job. I mean, a lot of people don't even have jobs right now. Or maybe I just need a vacation. Or maybe this is just a rough patch, I'll get over it. But sis, what if this restlessness you're feeling isn't something to ignore? What if it's actually God's GPS trying to redirect your life? So listen, today I'm sharing 5 unmistakable signs that God is calling you out of corporate, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly where you stand. So the first sign is what I call the Sunday night syndrome. And sis, if you have this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's that pit in your stomach that starts around 6 p.m. every Sunday. It's that dread that creeps up. It creeps in actually when you realize Monday morning is a coming. You used to call it the Sunday scaries, but lately it feels more like the Sunday morning, MOURN. Like you're grieving the weekend and you're dreading another week of your life at this job. Now, before you say, Monique, everybody gets the Sunday blues. But let me tell you the difference, okay? So regular Sunday blues are about not wanting the weekend to end. But what you're experiencing is a deep soul resistance to spending another week of your life doing work that doesn't matter to you anymore. You find yourself lying in bed Sunday night actually praying, God, please let Monday be better. Or maybe you're praying, help me get through this week. And sis, if you're praying for survival instead of success, that's your spirit trying to tell you something. And listen, real talk. God didn't design you to spend 40 plus hours a week doing something that makes your soul feel dead. Yes, now work is biblical. Yes, we're called to be diligent, but we're also called to use our gifts to serve His purpose, not just pay our bills. So if you're experiencing chronic Sunday night syndrome, not just occasionally, but consistently for months, then that's your first sign that God might be calling you somewhere else. All right, so sign number 2 is what I call the energy mismatch. And this one's sneaky because it doesn't happen overnight. So here's what I mean. You notice that you're completely drained after a normal work day. But when you talk about coaching, or if you talk about mentoring or helping other women or men, you light up like a Christmas tree. You can find several hours after spending 10 hours a day in your job and you're exhausted, but you can find like 2 hours talking to a friend, helping them figure out, their career, what have you, and you actually feel energized. I remember when this hit me, I'd come home from my HR job and I would be completely wiped out, barely able to make dinner. But then a friend would call me asking for some advice on how to start a coaching business, for instance. And suddenly I'd be animated, engaged, and talking for an hour without feeling tired. Like I forgot I was tired. That's your calling trying to get your attention. So you might notice this when you maybe volunteer to help colleagues with problems that are outside of your job description, or people naturally come to you for advice about work, life, or transitions that they're dealing with in life. Maybe you find yourself researching business ideas during your lunch break, or you get excited reading about entrepreneurship or coaching. Maybe you feel most alive when you're problem solving for other people, right? So listen, God wired us to feel joy and energy in the work that he's actually called us to do. Now, Ecclesiastes 3:13 says that each of them may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all their toil. This is the gift of God. Now, if your current work is consistently draining you while other activities are energizing you, pay attention. Pay attention, because God might be showing you where your true calling is. So sign number 3 is the skill set frustration. And sis, this one will make you want to scream at your next performance review. You know, you have skills, wisdom, insights that could help people in powerful ways, but your corporate job only lets you use about 30% of who you really are. And you're capable of so much more than writing reports, attending meetings, and managing projects that really don't matter in the eternal scheme of things. And maybe you're incredible at helping people see their potential, but your job description says manage budget reconciliation. Or maybe you have a gift for strategic thinking and problem solving, but you spend most of your time at your job on administrative tasks. Maybe you're naturally gifted at developing people, but your company doesn't invest in real leadership development. So you find yourself thinking things like, I could help so many people if I could just use my real gifts. Or this job doesn't even scratch the surface of what I'm capable of. I feel like I'm wasting my talents in this role. Or maybe you realize that people come to me for advice that has nothing to do with my job. So here's what's happening spiritually. God has been developing your gifts and skills through your corporate experience. But now those gifts are outgrowing the container that you're in. It's like trying to grow an oak tree in a coffee can. Eventually, it's going to need more space. Now, 1 Peter 4:10 says, each of you should use whatever gift that you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. Now, notice it doesn't say use 30% of your gifts, or say save your real gifts for the weekend. If you're really frustrated because your job only uses a fraction of who you actually are, then that's usually God's way of saying it's time to expand into something much bigger. Now, if you're recognizing yourself in these first 3 signs and you're starting to say, okay, Monique, but what exactly is God calling me to? Well, I've got something for you. I created a free quiz. It's called What Type of Faith-Based Coach Are You Secretly Meant to Be? And that will help you get crystal clear on your specific calling. Now, I'll add the link in the description below, but don't click away just yet, because signs 4 and 5 are the ones that will really confirm whether it's God's voice or just career dissatisfaction. So stick with me through the end, and then we'll talk about your next steps. Okay, so sign number 4 is the values collision. And this one might be the most painful because it makes you feel like you're compromising your integrity. You start noticing that your company's priorities and your values are more and more misaligned. Maybe your company talks about people first, but treats employees like numbers. Or maybe they claim to value work-life balance, but they reward people who sacrifice their families for the job. Maybe they say that they care about quality, but push you to cut corners for profit. For Christian women, this collision often shows up as being asked to do things that feel ethically questionable, or watching decisions getting made that hurt people that you actually care about. Feelings like, feeling like you have to hide your faith to fit in, or seeing politics and favoritism override merit and character. Being pressured to compromise your standards for business reasons. And you might find yourself praying before difficult meetings or asking God to help you navigate situations that shouldn't require prayer to handle ethically. You're having to choose between being a good employee and being true to your values. Now, when God calls you out of something, many times he does it by making you increasingly uncomfortable with compromising your values. He's growing your sensitivity to his standards so that what you used to feel, or what used to feel normal in corporate, now feels wrong. In Romans 12:2, it tells us, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So sometimes that renewal makes you realize that we can't keep conforming to systems that go against God or what God has put in our hearts. So if you're experiencing regular values collisions at work, God might be preparing you for a work environment where your values and your vocation can actually align. And number 5 is what I call the calling confirmation. And this is where things get really clear. So you start getting external confirmation that you're meant for something different. So it might look like multiple people telling you should be a coach, or they might say you should start your own business. You're really, really good at this. Or you start getting opportunities to speak and teach or mentor showing up unexpectedly, like you didn't even seek these things out, or people start seeking you out for advice about things that are outside of your job description. Or maybe you're starting to feel drawn to learning about entrepreneurship or coaching or ministry. You're having ideas for businesses or services that keep coming up all the time. But here's the kicker. You also start getting spiritual confirmation. So you're actually, let's say you're praying about your future and you're feeling peace about leaving corporate, even though it scares you financially, but you're feeling peace about it. You're reading scriptures and verses about calling and purpose and stepping out in faith all the time, like they're jumping off the page. And you're having conversations with other believers who encourage you to pursue what God has been putting on your heart. Or maybe you've been praying specifically about, career, and keep getting the same sense. It's time to move. It's time to move. And maybe you've been asking God to use you more significantly, and doors related to coaching or business keep opening. But here's what I know about God. He confirms his calling through multiple channels. So he doesn't just whisper once and expect you to figure it out. He'll use people and circumstances and his word and your own spirit to make his direction clear. Now, in Jeremiah 29:11 promises that, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, but to give you hope and a future. Now, when God has plans for you, he doesn't keep them secret forever. If you're getting calling confirmation from multiple sources, people, opportunities, scripture, and your own spirit, that's usually God's way of saying it's time to take the next step. All right, so what do you do if you recognize yourself in 3, 4, all 5 of these signs? Well, first of all, just breathe. Take a deep breath. This isn't about making some dramatic decisions tomorrow, okay? It's acknowledging what God is showing you and taking the next faithful step. It's praying for clarity and confirmation. Ask God to make his this direction even clearer. If this really is from him. James 1:5 promises that if we ask for wisdom, he'll give it generously. So start exploring what your calling might look like. What problems do you love solving? What kinds of people do you naturally help? And what would using your gifts fully actually look like? Begin building a bridge and not burning bridges. And listen, God rarely calls us to make reckless decisions. Start learning and planning and preparing while you're still employed. Find a community, connect with other women who've made similar transitions. You need people at this time who understand what you're going through and start taking the next small step. Maybe that's taking the quiz that I mentioned, so that you can understand your calling better. Maybe it's having a conversation with someone who's already done what you're thinking about. Maybe it's downloading a resource to help you plan strategically. The key is to start moving, even if you can't see the whole staircase. So if you've recognized yourself in 3, 4, or all 5 of these signs, then this isn't coincidence. It's not a coincidence. God used me to speak directly to your heart, and now it's time to do something about it, finally. Remember that quiz I mentioned earlier? This is the moment to take it. This quiz isn't just another personality test, okay? It's the roadmap to understand exactly how God wants you to use your corporate experience for his kingdom. And here's what happens when you take the quiz, okay? So when you take the quiz, you'll discover the exact breakdown of your coaching gifts that God handpicked for you through your corporate journey. So your corporate journey wasn't wasted. And you'll finally understand the real reason God had you in that frustrating job all this time. It wasn't for punishment. It was actually preparation. And you'll get a profile of your dream clients who are literally praying for someone with your specific background to show up and help them. And you'll also get a game plan to start exploring your calling without making any dramatic moves tomorrow, because we don't have time for that. We're grown. We got bills. We can't do that. Okay. But here's the thing. If you don't take action on what God is showing you, that restlessness that you feel is not going to go away. It's going to get stronger. And those Sunday nights are going to get even harder. That feeling of wasting your gifts is going to grow. So right now, while this is fresh in your heart, I want you to click the link in the description and go ahead and take the quiz. It takes less than 5 minutes, I promise, but it could change the direction of your entire life. And sis, if you're sitting there thinking, but what if this is just me being discontent at work? That's all it is. Or what if I'm hearing God wrong? Let me tell you something. The enemy wants you to stay stuck in a job that uses 30% of your gifts. And God wants you operating in the fullness of who he has created you to be. So your restlessness isn't rebellion, it's a revelation. And your desire for more is not selfish. It's God expanding your heart for work that he's been preparing you to do all this time. So listen, take the quiz, get clarity, and then come back and tell me in the comments which coaching type that you got when you took the quiz, and whether if it surprised you or maybe it confirmed what you already suspected. Now, if this video was the confirmation that you needed, that God is calling you to something bigger, I want you to hit the like button and subscribe, because I'm going to walk with you every step of the way of this transition. So listen, I'll see you in the next video. And remember, when God calls you out of something,
He's always calling you into something better, but you have to take the first step. Remember, the link to the quiz is in the description. So go right now, check it out, take the quiz, and then come back and let us know in the comments what type of coach you're secretly meant to be.
All right, beautiful. That's a wrap on today's episode. If you're sitting there thinking, okay, all right, I am so ready to stop talking about this and actually do something about it, then here's what I need you to do right now. Head on over to businesschurchlife.com. That's businesschurchlife, all one word.com. And that's where you'll find everything you'll need to turn that corporate experience into the coaching ministry that you've been called to build. Now, whether you're just getting started or you're ready to dive deep, I've got resources waiting for you that'll help you stop spinning your wheels and start making some real progress. And hey, if this episode hit you right in the feels, do me a favor, leave me a quick rating and a review, then share it with another woman who needs to hear this message. Those reviews help more women find us, and we're building a movement here that starts with women just like you who are brave enough to bet on themselves. I'll see you next week, same time, same place. Until then, stop making excuses and start making moves.